Hey guys, just want to welcome you to the Angry Advocate podcast. We are now at episode 19. We are getting close to the big 2-0, which is awesome. So super excited about that. Again, my name is Ed Hamady. I'm the guitar player for Death's Hand and the owner of Advocate Media.
And hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 19. I am Ash, owner of Angry Ginger Photography. Super excited for this episode. We have Daryn, the vocalist of Southpaw, with us today.
How's it going, man?
What's up, you guys?
It's a good
Nothing
day.
much. Yeah, absolutely. Very,
It's
very
cool to
good
be
day.
recording this earlier in the day, like with actual light and everything.
Oh, right. I
Yeah.
specifically outside for the natural lighting.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the best lighting of us.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's definitely different but fun. It's cool to do something a little bit different with the podcast. So, definitely a blast.
Saying actually, what is the temperature like there? Because it's not cold up here.
Right now it is 79 degrees.
Oof.
That's bullshit.
Fantastic out here. That's not a normal day in Florida, though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
normally much hotter than this.
Yeah, it's like where I'm at in Maine, it's 28 degrees right now. So yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not
It's
funny.
cold. It's cold. Yep. But yeah, we're gonna jump right into questions. First question we'll start off with is how long have you been playing in bands for?
So I've been playing music collectively for about 20 years. But as far as taking it serious, like as a profession, as a career, um, the last 5, but actually living it about the last 2, because as you know, when you start a band, obviously it takes time to build that brand, the name of the band, the business itself, because that's exactly what it is. It's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, collectively, I'd say 20 years, because I was about 13 or 14 when I first started playing music at all. And it certainly wasn't, the kind of music that I'm playing now. I went through a variety of different kinds of music, in the process of learning what I exactly wanted to do, because I played drums, guitar, bass. And then as the later I got into my teenage years, I became a vocalist, because I just felt like I had a lot to say. So here we are.
Absolutely.
Nice. That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, and I would definitely say that, like, I mean, coming from that background and having a lot of instruments at your side and being able to play all that stuff, like, it's really cool that you were able to kind of like explore those and find literally your voice, you know what I mean, like find like the thing that you're like, okay, this is the part that I really like to explore.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm similar to that. I have drums was my thing for a while, and now guitar is my thing, so it's kind of I kind of want to go back to play drums a little bit, but we'll see if that happens.
Nice.
I feel like the vocalists like yourself that are able to play everything also, like you're able to like articulate and just communicate with your band, like not just on what you're trying to get there vocally, but like you could easily just pick something up and be like, I'm thinking like something like this, like for the band as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's been so many times that I'll either, bring an entire song to the table, or we'll write an entire song together, either way, vice versa. But when those things happen, it's good to have those qualities, behind you, knowing how to play and knowing how to put together and formulate a song, because it's easier to explain, to the other musicians you're working with. And then vice versa, when you're writing a song together, it makes things easier, because a drummer might be talking a different language that most people don't understand, or even a guitar player. And just the simple fact of having those things kind of like on my resume, I guess it just helps. You understand each other, and you're able to get the job done collectively as a team. So
Yeah,
I fully agree with you.
Yeah, and I feel like in that songwriting process, it definitely makes things. I mean, songwriting can be difficult. I mean, sometimes you're just like, oh, you can't find a specific part, or you're trying to get the feeling for a specific part, and sometimes it just doesn't come easy. But when you do have, multiple people who all play instruments, who all maybe have slightly different backgrounds, usually someone will pull in a part and you're like, oh shit, that's the exact part that needs to be there. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So yeah,
Facts.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome.
I'm sure you've
But
experienced that too, being a musician,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's
bouncing between guitar and drums.
yeah, and I definitely do. And then there are also times where like, you know, you'll have two, let's say you have like you're a 4 or 5 piece, you'll have like 3 people in the band that are like, oh yeah, this part sounds perfect. And then you have the 2 other people that are like, no, I like it the way it was written before. And you're like it's, I don't know, it's sometimes things fit perfectly, sometimes everyone understands it, but like if you're going for a specific feel, or like you said, like if you're doing a band professionally, you really need to have everything polished and have an idea of what you are, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
like and so certain parts just don't fit, and then
Yes.
certain parts do fit, right? So it's like that's for us, we're a little bit more, I don't really know how to explain it. We're the way we write, we like to bring in a lot of different genres and kind
Sure.
of like just kind of, you know, just whatever comes out, which for sometimes is fun because we're not trying to do it professionally. But if you are doing it professionally, I feel like you kind of need to like find that very specific like niche sound. Not necessarily, but I feel like if you want to do something really good, you can be like, oh, in these parts we have to have this. We have to sound similar to this, you know. And it just
Right.
like it all depends on what you're going for, you know. But
it's
yeah,
cool that you guys are like that, because it's also like a day and age where I feel like everyone is so genre specific, and it's a conversation that's constantly coming up. Like you might say something is like hardcore, but it's like there's actually some like little metalcore, like everything like tipping into it.
yeah,
So it's hard to like
Yeah.
directly associate a genre now.
No,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we have these kinds of conversations all the time when we're at the table. It's like, if we're writing a song, and it could be anything. It could be a guitar part, a drum part, a bass part, and not bashing on any style specifically at all when I say this, but it could be very easy during the writing process as a metal or hardcore band or whatever, to write a part and it sound maybe too deathcore to 2 out of the 4 guys, or 3 out of the 4 guys, or maybe it sounds a little like, too thrashy or too metalcore or whatever. Those are things that, just like you were saying, as those things present themselves, you just speak up and talk to one another. And sometimes there could be, not even just speaking for Southpaw, but there could be an age difference, an age gap as far as the music goes. Like, maybe there is members in the band that were in the hardcore scene 10 years ago, and then you got you know younger people in the band as well, or whatever. Not, like I said, not even just speaking for Southpaw, just speaking in general. And their concept or their idea of metal or hardcore may be completely different. You know what I'm saying? So it's just important to hone in and tap in on what exactly it is you're trying to achieve, um, and being authentic with it. But above everything, just being yourself. That's and speaking the truth. Be yourself, speak the truth, be confident in what you write and what the words that you speak.
Absolutely. You're Ed, you're muted.
yep. No, I'm not. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the biggest part, and I like how you ended that. Like I really feel like you do honestly have to be yourself as a band. And like if as a band you can sit there and go, okay, like these, 2 or 3 people are the ones who really write the main riffs for this stuff, and they have a very, specific style. And if like everybody vibes with that style and you're able to go and you're like, hey, like let's stick with this is what we
Oh
want the
yeah.
band to sound like, and like you said, age gaps can have things to do with that, I mean, people's perception of what real true metalcore is, or true hardcore, or whatever the situation is.
No, I
um
totally agree with you on that.
yeah, 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 it's definitely I don't know. And I think also, like you said, band communication is a huge part of that too. Like if
Absolutely.
as long as you're able to communicate with your bandmates and everyone's on a very similar page, that makes the whole writing process and like branding process of your band that much easier. If everyone's like, this is what we want to stand for, this is what we want to sound like, this is what we want to do, and everyone's like, yeah, then like it's a lot easier to kind of, I think,
Hone in.
yeah, hone in and get yourself exactly where you want to be. But
No,
Absolutely.
facts. That's I agree with all of that. I couldn't agree with you more.
yeah.
I mean, I know this is not a question or anything, but just to kind of spin off of that, like being in a band is like being in a relationship, really. But you're in a relationship with like 4 or 5
Mhm.
people. It's
Yep.
fun, as funny as that sounds. Like you all have to be honest with each other. You're all going to bring material to the table that either sounds, great or sounds like shit,
Right.
and you got to be a tight enough unit to be able to be like, yo, that ain't the move, or
Yep.
yeah, this is what's happening because I've got something that can, boom 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 with that part you wrote.
Yep.
So you just have to be completely honest and transparent, about everything, from the sound of the music to the business side of things, to, and when I say the business side of things, I mean like, tours, money, all those things. It's more than people think, not to go way too out in left field, but a lot of people
Yeah.
have this idea that being a musician is just about going on stage and playing and, whatever, it all looks fun and nice and well, but what they don't see is the sacrifice that comes with it, the negotiations, the people skills you have to have, and then on top of that, trying to just be an artist in general. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like there's so many different things that go into it. But that being said, yes, communication is key.
Yeah, for sure.
With whatever group you're in, if you want to achieve something great.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of time and energy and effort
Yeah.
to do that stuff. And sometimes it's difficult and sometimes it's, it takes some time to get everybody kind of on the same page, but as long as you can kind of get there and understand each other, I feel like it makes that whole
all
thing
worth
just
it.
so much easier.
You're gonna go through like growing pains,
Mhm.
because some people are can either be more mature than others or some more skilled and seasoned than others. It just depends. You can't really. It's hard to dictate something like that because we all grow up differently in different environments,
Yeah.
and are raised by different people. So naturally, we're all going to come out different. But that's what makes it unique about playing music. You sort those things out, and everyone gets sewn in together. You know what I'm saying? And you just follow suit.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Yep. Spot on.
And that takes us into question 2. What is your favorite genre of music, and who are some of your biggest musical influences?
So probably not what you were expecting. I know I play the kind of music that I play and whatnot, but me personally, I like a lot of like old school hip hop. I
Oh
like
yeah.
I like some newer, not all of it, not the shit you hear on the radio, but like, for example, somebody that inspired me just as an artist in general, not even a band. Nipsey Hussle. I love Nipsey. I don't know if you guys know anything about him.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I'm big into that mindset, and tapping into, a higher self. You know what I'm saying, and letting that bleed out through the music and giving back. Um, so yeah, Nipsey Hussle is a big one for me. As far as other, you said bands or specific artists. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too carried
Musical
away.
influences in general, so it
Oh,
can be
just
either or.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of like Frank Sinatra. Even I know, as crazy as
Oh
that
yeah.
sounds, I listen to a lot of Frank Sinatra. I can listen to a Frank Sinatra record front to back and not skip a track whatsoever. I just love music like that. And to be honest with you, another reason why I enjoy music like that is because it takes me out of my element. Um,
Mhm.
you start listening to music that's too much like what you're playing, and I know you understand this, but
Mhm.
you already know what I'm about to say.
Yep.
I already know. It's
Yep.
like you start listening to too many, like if you're a metal band and you listen to nothing but metal all day and you're pumping it through your brain, um, you know, passively, without you even recognizing it, it's going to bleed into your artistic skills
Mhm.
and your craft. And
Yeah.
it's going to end up sounding too much like the next man. Like, you don't want to sound like the next man. And there's so many hardcore and metal and extreme bands out there. It's easy to get, to fall down into the rabbit hole. And then you don't even realize that you're writing music that sounds so much like somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's why I said from the start, from the jump, be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people will look at other bands or artists and be like, I want to be like him, or I want to be like that, or I want to sound like this. But be you and let that come out through your music, and
Yeah.
then you will be authentic. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody is different in their own way. But that being said, I listen to a lot of Sinatra, a lot of Nipsey Hussle. I listen to a lot of Marvin Gaye. I love like smooth jazz, like old school gangster shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as influences in the heavy music side of things, um, contrary to a lot of people's beliefs and opinions on this individual, it's still one of my top five. But Phil Anselmo from Pantera, um, regardless of some of the shit that I've seen him do in the past on the internet and stuff, as a child growing up, like Phil Anselmo really was the person that influenced me to um, have that voice. Because you look at early videos of Pantera and things like that, and then like moving on up into like even 2000 at like the Ozfest and shit like that, the amount of confidence he embodies live, and the way that he interacts with the crowds, whether he was fucked up on something or not, I don't know. But
Right.
the fact of how he carries himself, the message he delivers, and just this unstoppable feeling force that he brings, plus the energy, you know, I see vocalists like that and I'm like, okay, that's a guy that's all in. Like,
Right. Yeah.
regardless of who feels what way about him, that's a guy that's really like living that life, and,
Mhm.
and being who he says he is through the music. So I can't do nothing but respect that
Yeah.
as a musician. So he's definitely still my top five. Um, Jamie Josta from Hatebreed.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hatebreed had such a big influence and impact on me as a kid. Um, my grandmother passed away a couple years back, and I was just talking to my guitar player about this the other day, about how we went to New York, a couple weekends ago, and for this, Extreme Music Awards, and we can get more into that later. But the drummer from Hatebreed was there, and my grandmother hated the fact that I played heavy music and the fact that I had gotten back into it. But little does she know, she supplied me with one of my first hardcore records, a CD, and I believe it was Supremacy, Hatebreed. It was in Walmart.
Wow.
So she got me like that and an Unearthed record and some other things. And I just remember looking over at my guitar player and I said, my grandma would have been pissed that I chose this career path. But here I am with the
She
drummer of
led
the
you into
band.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here I am with the drummer of the band that she bought one of my first records for me as
Yeah.
as a kid. So things just have a way of coming full circle. But um, that's just a little backstory. So Jamie Josta, big impact on me. The meaning behind his music, the message that they push, and always have, and just the force that they've been in the music industry in general, that inspires me. And he's got a very entrepreneurial mindset as well, which is not real common with a lot of musicians. Like, it's out there, but it's not.
Yeah.
Um, he's got a way of, uh, you know, again, sewing himself into the community to where he's able to make a living off of this, not just playing music, but doing other things.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Absolutely.
If you want to do this for a living, you have to find creative ways to make money and make the most of your time. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So when I
Yeah.
see people like that, individuals like that moving that way, it's very inspiring to me because that's what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
Um, Aside from Phil Anselmo and Jamie Josta, um, another one that I wouldn't say impacted me as much as those two, but has had great influence over me was Scott Vogel from Terror.
Yeah.
Uh, Love Terror. That's another band that's just like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Always has been, always will be. so much respect for that entire band and Scott. I don't know him personally, but just his message. I mean, fuck, I've got Terror lyrics like tattooed on me and shit. So it's like
Yeah.
very, very important to me. And then the last one I can really think of off the top of the dome is Freddie Madball.
Yeah.
Freddie Madball's another one. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you can't really talk hardcore music without throwing, you
No.
know, Madball into the conversation.
For sure.
Do I really even need to get into, you know,
Right.
everything that they've done throughout, you know, the course of, you know, them being in this scene in the industry? Like, they paved the way for a lot of bands. I mean, granted, there's a lot of bands that came before them too, but they really paved the way for a lot of bands like us.
For
And
sure.
the energy they bring as well, you know, it's high intense energy. It's lyrics that, you know, a lot of people can relate to, whether you're in the street or whether you're just somebody that's in the scene, or both, you know. So that's what I look for in music, is the meaning. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A lot of people are just like, oh, I like the tune, this and that, and that's all fine and well, but what are you talking about?
Right.
You know, what is the message you're trying to relay, and are you really that person that you're um, verbalizing?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I feel like, and it's funny because I mean, all the people you mentioned are like honestly powerhouses in their own right, right? Like they're all just like, you think, like you name it and you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah.
people who have definitely, I would say, pushed the envelope in many different directions, and you know, like you
Right.
said, paved the way for a lot of those like more hardcore, definitely not your anywhere near your like mainstream type stuff, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
very specific roads, but I mean all, yeah, I mean, and yeah, there, a couple Phil, like some questionable stuff here and there would like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I get that. However, however, for him as a lead singer, I mean, he just is one of those more powerful people that like you can't deny,
No.
can literally just control a crowd. And I mean, and obviously the band too, but for sure, like each one of those people, I mean, on their own, seeing them on stage, it's just like, okay, like it's someone you like, if you watch them the whole show, you'd have a good time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, that's literally the energy that they project is always what I've tried to capture in my own way. You know,
yeah,
I never
for
try to
sure.
be like anybody else, but when you know, naturally you just have these feelings inside as a front man, you know, not to get too deep, but it's like it's either there or it's not.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And when it is there, it projects out into the crowd, and you never expect shit from the crowd in return, but you're gonna get what you give.
exactly.
So, you know, for me, you know, like I said, not to get too deep into it, but it's like, and she knows because she's seen us play live before.
Yeah,
Shout out to Madison.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it's one of them things. Like, before we even go on stage, like, and this is not me saying that I'm better than the next man, but for me, what works
yeah,
for me is I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing burpees, I'm doing jumping jacks, like I'm getting my heart rate elevated. I don't eat too close to when I go on a stage. I'm not going up there trashed. Like, I'm drinking water. Like, I'm not gonna say I haven't went up there trashed before, because it's
right.
happened.
Yeah,
But my mind is in, it's time to go to war, you know.
yeah,
And when I get up there, that's what is projected. You know, there's none of this me go up there without getting myself warmed up and stretched out and all this and that. And then, you know, I've got the shakes, you know what I'm saying? The leg shakes and
yeah,
stuff, because I've had so many vocalists say stuff to me like that. But and interacting with the crowd is huge for me, which I see all of those vocalists do. All of
yeah,
them. They
yeah,
interact with the crowd. They look directly at you. They make eye contact. It's not about, you know, you're up there trying to be better, you know, more cool than the next guy or whatever, like trying to swing the hammer. No, it's like, hey, we're here to unite, we're here to connect with people, and we're all here for the same common purpose. So, like,
yeah.
let's get this shit right. type deal.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. And I feel like if the lead singer had like for my band that I'm in, um, my guitarist, my other guitar player, and I, we don't move as much. The last show that I played, I moved a lot more than I normally do. But which
Proud of you.
I don't know why. Yeah, I know. I felt it more. It's weird, like, because I'm the type of person who I'm normally a drummer. So in all the bands I've ever played in, I've played drums. So for me, I'm like at the back. I can't. I mean, you can move, but like you can't, like, I'm not running around stage. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
playing guitar, it's been a little bit more difficult for me being out front and, like, I guess kind of getting out of my shell. Maybe I'm not scared when I play. So I don't think it's like a nervousness thing. It's just I'm not used to doing that type of thing and trying to, like, help the crowd, like, perceive the band as being something a little bit more. And so, like, I've never had that. And I, like, the last show, I don't want to say, like, I didn't force anything, but the last show was like the first show where I felt like, hey, like, I feel comfortable doing this. I feel
Yeah.
comfortable moving a little bit more. And it definitely, like, I mean, I think, you know, from any show we do now on, I have a feeling that I'll definitely be moving a lot more, just because I felt comfortable in that specific. I don't know why, like, that show made me feel more comfortable. I was more comfortable to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely cool to be able to have that. And I feel like, I mean, there's definitely some people who I think that, like, I've seen on stage where and mainly vocalists, where I've seen some vocalists on stage where it's like, if it almost seems like they're trying too hard, like purposefully trying too hard. And it's just like you said, it has to come naturally. And you can tell the people who are, like, naturally acting, not well, like, naturally being who they are. And
Yes.
as they sing or as they move around stage, you can tell, like, they're not trying to be like, well, I have to go to this side. Oh, I have to go to this side. Well, I gotta,
Well
I
said.
got, yeah, you know what I mean? And again,
Well said.
no, nothing against those people that do that. And I'm not, I don't have anybody in general. I've just, like, I've seen videos of bands where I'm like, man, that seems a bit excessive. And maybe that's what, maybe that's what they're feeling. Who am I to say, right?
Right.
But for me, I definitely feel like there's, like, that fine line of, like, you can just tell, and everyone who you named, like, their stage presence is natural as hell. Like, you just watch them and you're like, they're amazing. Like, it's just it's incredible, you know? And
Absolutely.
so I feel like it's definitely like, yeah, it's either there or it's not. And
Yes.
you can try to make it there. And it's, for me, like, it's kind of not, but I'm starting to feel it a little bit more. So it's like, okay, now that I've been playing guitar in a band for, 3 or 4 years, and I mean, I've played guitars in bands previously, but not anything, you know, like this. So it's a little bit newer to me, but I feel more comfortable. So I think I feel like it's there. It's just I just haven't come into my
Getting
own
there.
comfort zone, and, like, or maybe
Yeah.
my own confidence on being on stage. You know what I mean? So it's like,
So
yeah,
many so many things you've said, I fully agree with. Like, you got a good head on your shoulders as far as that goes. There's really two sides to that coin, in my opinion, based off of my experience. Um, you may have somebody that's extremely, like, seasoned, meaning they've just, obviously been through the motions and played in a lot of bands, been around for a little while, and they may be confident, but a lot of times that can be misunderstood as cockiness. There's a fine line
yeah,
between
oh yeah,
confidence and cockiness. And I've dealt with this, because I don't consider myself a cocky person, but somebody that may not be confident or, not be comfortable with themselves or whatever. And we've all been there. Like, I've experienced all those emotions. I'm no different than anybody else.
yeah,
But, I'm a dad now. This is what I do for a living, is tour. And, I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm confident in who I am. That doesn't mean I'm cocky or think I'm better than anybody. Like, it's about helping people.
yeah,
um and trying to lead by example to a degree. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not saying I'm
mhm,
any kind of poster child here, but as far as persevering through life and getting what you want, and taking it by the horns, like, that's what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? By
yeah,
any means necessary.
yeah,
But then you have other guys, and I'm not going to say any names specifically. These individuals know who they are, and there's nothing I wouldn't say on this camera that I wouldn't say directly to somebody's face. But then you have people that actually haven't uh, went through those motions and are not seasoned, or they just simply are not the person that they claim to be when they hit the booth or hit the stage or whatever. And for somebody like myself, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm the realest motherfucker that y'all have ever
Right.
met or anything like
Right.
that. But it's like for somebody that like me, that's actually went through those motions and is seasoned and is living that lifestyle and has been in this game, for long enough to know. Plus, just knowing people in general, like I can see through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that, unfortunately. People will think, a certain style of music is cool or whatever, and then they'll just get up on stage or in the booth and just be talking mad shit that they don't know anything about. And I hate to see it, but you know what? Those things will work themselves out naturally.
Yeah.
Like either they will learn very quickly, or they will eventually fade away. You
Yeah, for
have to
sure.
be yourself in this game. Like you have to be in life in general, because it's like other people are going to read that and see through it, and they're not going to take you seriously at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's definitely one of those things where I think the more you are yourself and the band has its own identity and everybody pushes that and lives that identity, that's where people connect. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's where people get the like, oh shit, okay, I understand this. These people are, exactly what they say they are. They're working hard at what they want to do to become, what they want to be. And it's like once you see that, it's hard not to recognize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, you definitely see bands where you're like, okay, yeah, they're doing their thing. And like a great example of this is a band from Maine called Gumscab. They're I mean, they have like 5 or 6 different bands with all the same members. Like,
Oh man.
It's like 6
yeah,
or 7 best friends just writing music with each
and
other.
that's all they do. So they're signed technically to a label, the lead singer of Cruel Hand.
Oh shit.
The lead singer of Cruel Hand is like their manager, and like he kind of has a label, and they're running everything through that. And
That's
so
dope. I fuck
yeah,
with Cool.
yeah. So yeah, Gumscab they are literally living and grinding and doing exactly what they want to do. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
everything.
Yeah.
It's about the energy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
everything that
Yep.
you were saying, Darren, and it's all of it just tying into. Because I remember being at your show in New Jersey. I'm not from there. You guys aren't from there, but the energy of every band, you guys, Crosby, like so many sick bands, that you guys were just real. It's exactly what you're saying it is. Like the way you're able to connect with people where in areas that like you're not from, like that's how you're able to then tour and be successful. Because if you don't have that and you're just showing up places unable to have that connection, then there's
Yeah.
no point.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree, and I appreciate that compliment, by the way. Um, and I feel like a lot of that is, when you are tapped into that and you are being yourself and you are in that zone, naturally, I don't know if you guys believe in things like this, but I believe in the law of attraction. I really do. Um, I believe the more that you are tapped in with your purpose and who you actually are as a person, and the more you project that in that energy and connect with people, it's like naturally you're radiating in a room full of other people that may or may not have the same mindset, but those people that are attracted to it whatsoever are going to slowly start gravitating towards you, and then you start building good relationships that way. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it be other bands, promoters, the venue owners, whatever, those things will naturally have a way of being attracted to you and finding their way to you. And next thing you know, you have created friendships and relationships with people in different cities and states. And you can help each other because you're like-minded. You can get a lot more done with a city of people than you can by yourself. And it's not all about using people or anything like that. It's win-win. Like, let me do for you, you do for me. Like, let's grow together and put on.
Yeah. I agree 110%. And I definitely feel like you know, I think each band sometimes will have that one person who's like that person, right? Who has I would say like I don't say everything lined up, but is the one that's like, hey, follow me. Hey,
Yeah.
follow me. I'm gonna, and then the cool thing about that is if you have that and people see that, then people can then especially like your bandmates first. If your bandmates see that, and then it's kind of like you said with the law of attraction type stuff. Like if you have one or two people in your band who's that passionate, who's that like just set on what they're doing, then like the rest of your band gets addicted to that feeling. Then the rest of the, audience that you play in front of, you know what I mean? And just things manifest for you if you just continually push and push and push and like work the hardest you can, put out the best vibes that you can, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I feel
Yeah.
like that happens just it, that's I try to do that, probably not as much as you, but I try to do that as much as possible. Like my bandmates, I help them out as much as I can. Like in any way, shape, or form that I can, I try to help.
As we
And
should. Yeah.
yeah, and the same thing with the media stuff. Like, Ash has been a huge help with me with like learning more about photography. Madison has been a huge help with me learning about photography. Like, but yeah, I feel like as long as you have those people in your life, whether they're in your band or in whatever you're trying to do, whether it's photography or videography or whatever, if you have those people who are also just like helping you out and pushing you and you're also a good person around them, they're going to want to help you. They're going to want to be around you, And I feel like that's a huge part of all of that.
Facts. I mean, you got to have a good and solid team around you that knows the plan and
Yeah.
sticks to the script.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to have different strengths and weaknesses, just like I was saying before. And it's not anything you don't know from being a musician, but it's like everybody has a role. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Some people are better at certain things than others, and that's okay. Like everybody just has to play their position and their part and know what the move is. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And typically, yeah, you are going to have that, one or two people that have a little bit more business intellect or,
Hmm.
a little bit more sense of direction with certain things like, dealing with people or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and, ultimately, somebody is going to end up being a spearhead in the group, which that, I think it's funny that you kind of mentioned that because that's my bass player specifically always refers to me as the spearhead of
Yeah.
Southpaw because it's like, the way that we operate is I don't make all the decisions. No single one person makes the decisions in this group.
Yeah.
We treat everybody equally and fairly because that's how it is. And we're the same people everywhere we go. We've
Right.
all equally contributed to this. But at the end of the day, whether it's a hard decision or an easy decision, somebody has to spearhead that and see it through.
Yeah.
And that is where I fall into place as far as
Yeah.
okay, hey, here's the plan, boom, boom, boom. All right, now execute, boom,
Right.
like get it done.
Right.
And somebody has to play that position, somebody has to play that role, and sometimes it might be an easy thing to do, sometimes it might be
Right.
a hard thing to do, but you're gonna learn as you go. There is no blueprint for this shit. Like
Nope.
you have to figure it out, and you just have to put yourself through it. And you're gonna fail at times,
Yeah.
but that's what builds character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that wholly. It's definitely yeah, as long as you do pretty much exactly what you said and you have someone who has that and you have the people that are with you that back you, you know what I mean? You'll get everything done you want to get done.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure, for
yeah,
sure.
awesome. Yeah, let's jump into question number 3. Favorite local bands right now, and that can be around you. Obviously, you're not going to know, anybody up here in the. I mean, you might know some people up in the east, but northeast. But yeah, so any local bands around you that are kind of your favorite.
Okay. Let me try to think of some people that I've like recently connected with. So the last time we went through Texas, we met this band called Lie. Have you ever heard of Lie?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh man, yo, I love those guys. They're awesome. Some of these bands I don't know. As I'm gonna tell you, the bands I don't know if they would even be considered locals anymore. Because some of these bands may be touring way more actively than they were when I first met them. Some of them, as a matter of fact, I know are. But just through my experience and being on tour and whatnot, live from Texas. Um, the best way for me to explain them is like a heavy hip hop band. You know,
Okay.
they got like if you ever see a shirt that says Latinos run hardcore, it's a lie shirt. You know,
Okay.
I love them dudes. They're all young as fuck. You know, I'm still young myself. I mean, I'm 33, but I think they're in their like early 20s. But they've got like a
Okay.
dude that's doing a turntable and all kinds of stuff. Like it's raw. It's raw. Plus
Yeah.
they have like this whole fucking serenade thing at the beginning of their set. It's like I don't want to disrespect anybody's culture, but I think it's like a Mexican type song or whatever. It's like playing in the background and then it just hits and
Oh, that's
it
cool.
pops. It
That's sick.
pops. Everybody's already getting rowdy before it even hits. Like they already know
Yeah.
what's happening. So
Yeah.
live from Texas. Let's see. This band is more like metal or metalcore, but there's a band I did a feature for not too long ago called Unvow. Um, they actually are going to do like a small leg of the tour with us in April, May. Those dudes don't like tour heavily. Um,
Yeah.
they're more like weekenders or like a week here or whatever. Um, they play locally and like one offs, within a certain radius of where they're from, but they're from Ohio. I love those guys. Shout out Unvow. Disobedient Crew is another one from Ohio. I love those guys, especially the vocalist McCann. I look at that dude like my little brother. Like very, very, very cool cat. He came up to me, around the first night that we met, which was at fuck, what was that venue? I can't even remember. We played so many damn places. One class. I think it was one class is what it's called. And long story short, he just expressed to me like how much we inspire him to be a better artist. And I remember him specifically asking me like, what do you do to prepare yourself, like, um, you know, being on stage and stuff like that? And I straight up told him, I said, look, I train to be on stage like I'm training to be a fighter, like literally, because I want to have stamina. I want to have a decent build. I want to be able to project the lyrics while I'm putting out this high intense energy. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, if you're in a hardcore band or a metal band and you're talking that shit, you better be able to back it up physically if need be. And I'm not saying that has to happen. Like that's not what's important here, but when you're in certain areas in different territories and people may or may not take you the correct way, like you never fucking know what's going to happen. So be
Yeah.
prepared for any situation that may come.
Mhm.
Um, but with that being said, Disobedient Crew McCann, he completely like switched his lifestyle around. He went into doing mixed martial arts. He went into like doing a lot of weight training, paying attention to his diet, and he still to this day will text me like progress pictures and send me like training sessions and stuff like that.
That's cool.
I did a feature with them not too long ago where the song is called Gold Soul, and it basically just talks about everything that I stand for, like just taking this shit by the horns, getting what you want by any means necessary, and just never backing down and straying from that. And in the lines that I wrote for the song, it was more or less like speaking directly to him. You know what I'm saying? And basically in a sense of like, don't give up. Like if I can do it, you can too, type deal. You'd have
Mhm.
to actually listen to the song and read the lyrics, but
Yeah.
something to that effect. But I'm talking directly to him in that song. Um, let's see, another band from New York that I really fuck with on a personal level and music level is Cropsy.
Mhm.
Um, You guys, you've definitely heard Cropsy because they played with
At
us.
that show, yeah, and now they're coming out to Mass. It's them, a band called Iron Gate that's wicked sick out here, and a few others. But April 19th, I get to see them again.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. Cropsy's them dudes. Tell them I said what's up when you see them. I love them
Absolutely.
guys. We talk on a very regular basis. Let's see, somebody else that I really enjoy or have seen locally. I'd like to say Resistor, but they're not a local band. They definitely tour. They're from
When you said turntable, that was exactly who I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
it's just like Resistor. Resistor's
Yeah.
insane. Like, as soon as I walked in, saw the turntable, I was like, this is gonna be it, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
matched exactly.
Yeah.
They're doing a leg of the tour with us too in April and May. It's the full U.S. like the U.S. Takeover tour is what it's called.
Yeah.
But Resistor's doing like the last. I think they're doing like the last week with us,
Nice.
and they're just like how Resistor sounds. They're like a big, heavy, like Limp Biscuit on steroids type deal,
Yeah.
Yep.
which I'm
They have
about.
they have
Yeah.
a Limp Bizkit pull or
Yeah,
shirt base
Yeah.
already.
yeah. And then I'd say two more that I can really think off the top of my head. Cold Hard Steel from Alabama. You guys know them?
I've heard of them.
My boy JT on vocals. They're a good band, man. They're like they have a little bit more of that authentic hardcore style. That authentic hardcore sound,
Hmm.
which I can always respect. It gets lost a lot in the
Yeah.
mix of other things. Like I was saying, like some people will write music intending for it to be hardcore, but it ends up sounding too deathcore because that's just kind of like the era they came from, which is fine.
Yeah.
But Cold Hard Steel for sure, and there was another one that I wanted to specifically call out that I just shared from Nashville. Um, the name will come to me when
Yeah.
it comes to it because I just shared it the other day.
Just shout it out when you remember.
Yeah, I'll remember it. I'll verbalize it.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's just a handful. There's so many fucking good bands out there. It's hard to really name them all.
Oh, for sure.
So
For sure. Yeah.
that'd
In
be a
every single state, like a band from Alabama, like I haven't heard that in a
Yeah.
long time. And just thinking of like scenes everywhere, like we don't even
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the scene in Alabama is good. Like Birmingham and Montgomery. Like every time we
Mhm.
play there, it's honestly. I know I say this about a couple places that we go, but it's like a second family to us when we come out
Yeah.
there. And they've got such a great venue in Birmingham called Workplay. I mean, it's big. The sound is phenomenal, and there's a ton of good locals out there that are just like tapped in, like young kids too, and they
Yeah.
just know what time it is. So it's always nice to see in a breath of fresh air when you go somewhere and it's like people really understand the music and,
Yeah.
and, and the culture of hardcore. So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, question 4. Have touched a lot on it, but what is your biggest advice to any band starting right now?
Man, that's a loaded question.
Hmm.
There's so many things that I could say. I mean, I could go on forever. Um, I guess the first thing I would say is um, know what you want out of it. Really know what you want out of it. You're either gonna do this as a hobby or you're gonna do it as a full blown career. And understand the difference in those two because I think a lot of I'm not even gonna say bands, but people just get it twisted in general.
Hmm.
Uh, they
Definitely.
they think that everything is going to be handed to them. They think it's going to come easy. They think that one music video being dropped is going to be the play. Like that.
Yeah.
That's oh, I'm going to make it. Like I just dropped one good music video with one good record. Like nobody gives a shit. It's going to end
Yeah.
up getting brushed under the rug in 2 months. You have to be consistent and disciplined. So that would be two things that I would say is identify whether you want to, really utilize this as a career or a hobby, And if you are going to approach it as a career, then be consistent and disciplined with every move that you make. Because if you're not consistently making connections and networking, it's going to be very hard for you to play outside of the areas that you're already, playing in or known in. Um, if you are not taking finances seriously as on the career side, it could really come back and bite you in the ass as far as taxes go and all kinds of things. You got to keep track of every single thing, and that's why I say a lot of people don't understand. Like, it's more than just playing. You have to
Mhm.
keep track of so many different things and understand the advantage of write-offs and all that. But that just falls into running a business in general.
Yeah.
Um, so consistency, remain disciplined. Um, if you're going to talk about it, be about it. Like, stand on your words. I say that a lot in our songs. Like, whatever you speak needs to be the truth, and whatever you do needs to be what you speak,
Yep.
and everyone's story should be heard. So tell the story, and don't, I feel like another big one, it's not something that I'm concerned with at all, but I've experienced these emotions as well when I was younger, growing up, um, you know, moving through the game. It's like, don't be concerned with what other people have to say or what they think.
Hmm.
Um, when you're in an environment where, a lot of people consider a lot of people in the scene or whatever to be tough or whatever the case may be, it's like, if you're not, if you're not confident within yourself, you'll allow other people to make decisions with you or for you, and
Yeah.
not actually follow through and carry through with what the actual plan was because you're too concerned with what other people think. Don't
Yeah.
don't be concerned with what other people think at all. Um, do you, be you, and that's going to show. And you know, the people that don't believe in you and don't like what you're doing, that's just a very small percentage of people in the world.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of people get so boxed into their own city and people that they think are cool, and they value their opinions so much, but those people don't even give a shit about them.
Nope.
So it's like, do what you want to do what you love, because regardless, people are going to have something to say either way.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so go after it like your life depends on it, man, and stick to a plan, of growth. Track your progress every single day, week, year, so that you can determine, like, if you are actually getting anywhere or not.
Yeah.
You don't want to just be floating around out in space, like, just hoping for the best. No, you have to be, like, direct, and you have to know exactly what your intentions are and what you want out of this, and go after it, by
Yeah.
any means necessary. And that's with anything, not just music. That's like, if you want to be a promoter, if you want to be a venue owner, um, there's going to be other people that are trying to, like, fight to get to a certain level or a certain position, but don't be concerned with what other people are doing. Like, that's why, like, as far as the bands go, there's so many good bands, that your last question, but it's like, I'm so tapped in on what I'm doing on a regular basis, as far as, like, my gym routine, my diet, my child. Then when I'm on tour, it's showtime. Like, I don't have time to be concerned with what everybody else is doing or
Yeah.
who's,
Same.
like, I'm my own boss. I'm in my own lane, and it's like, you like it or you don't. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess it's just that's a little bit of insight. There's a lot I could say about that, but that would be some of the advice I would give, especially to the younger generation coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give respect where it's due.
That's
That's
a
a
huge. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I was going to say that last part that you kind of said, I definitely have a lot of feelings on, for sure. I feel like, I try to stay in my own lane too, right? Like, I do every job and any job I need to do in order to support myself, to support what I do for the band. Not that we're not looking to be, it's not a career for us. It's a strong passion for all of us, and we all want to create and play shows and do what we want to do. But you know, I feel like as a person, the only way that you can really take it really seriously, even if it's a strong passion for you and it's not a career, you have to have everything else together. You have to have a drive to want to do certain things. Like I'm always thinking about like I know I know my worth. I know what I need to get paid in order to do what I need to do, and I'll do whatever I have to do in order to do all that stuff. So I have the freedom to you know drive and play shows down in Mass or New Hampshire or wherever we're going to play. Like try to have as much money as I possibly can to help the band out and do whatever I can in general. And I feel like you said too, with people who have their own opinions about you or your own opinions about whatever, it's like I just try to keep to myself, do what I want to do with the band, have as much fun as I can with the band, and worry about that. I have my own little bubble. This is what I care
Yes.
about, you know what I mean? And everything outside of that is not important.
Yep.
I don't want to say not important, but it's not as important as the people who are within my bubble. You know what I mean? Like like I've got my people. This is what I care about. And anybody who's outside of that who doesn't like me or whatever the fact, I don't really care. Like I literally don't care. Like
It's
I don't
gotta
have
be like that. It's gotta be like that, man.
yeah. Yeah. It's the and honestly, like when you can do that and you can eliminate everybody outside of that bubble that you don't need in your life, when you can eliminate all that, it clarifies everything that's in front of you.
Yep.
It clarifies
Mhm.
absolutely, and it's just like now you can actually see what's important. You can
What's
Yes.
important.
actually do what's important. And
Mhm.
and honestly, for me, it makes me feel like I have more control over my life. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
you're like you have everything's wide open. It's in front of you. You know exactly what's important, exactly what's not.
Yes.
You can make those clean cuts, and
And
you
that's
do
all you need to
you,
do.
and that's all you need to do.
Exactly.
You know?
Look,
I
I've had so many moments of realization in my life like that just throughout the years, and that is exactly why songs like Dead Weight exist. That's exactly why songs like Face the Facts exist. If you go back and really listen to those songs and pay attention to the lyrics and the meaning behind it, just like you were saying,
Yeah.
came a point in my life where I knew that this is what I wanted to do for a living, and I was willing to do anything, but well, not anything, but by any means necessary. I
Hmm.
was going to make this happen, regardless of the sacrifice, regardless of who I have to cut off, and that's a big part of how Dead Weight came about. It just you become so sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Yeah.
and you're just like, fuck this.
Yep.
Anything that doesn't serve
Mhm.
my purpose, anything that's not feeding my table, not just me specifically, but my table,
Yep.
needs to go. It has to go because
Yeah.
I'm carrying around all this negative energy and weight that has no place here. And then,
None.
like Face the Facts, it touches a lot on that. Like, there's a line, trying to think where exactly it is in the song. It's just basically says, won't change my ways, won't entertain the fake shit. I see right through it.
Right.
Plus, I got a lot to say on any given day. What's understood ain't got to be explained. So it's like basically just letting people know, like, I've been through this enough for enough years that I know what the
Hmm.
fuck's going on. I see through the fake motherfuckers that have ill intentions or want to try to throw up a wall in front of me, and that's fine. Like, I'm built for that. I'm either going to
Yeah.
move the pieces on the chessboard right around you or just
Exactly.
bulldoze right through you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like, people put you in that position. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, the other two bands that I was going to say,
Perfect.
number one, it's not necessarily a local band, but Smoke AD. Um, Whenever I was in New York, sorry to get off topic, but
No, you're good.
whenever I was in New York, I got to see Smoke AD play. It's Danny Diablo on vocals, from Scarhead and Crown of Thorns, which, if you guys know anything about like old school New York hardcore, Danny Diablo is frontman of he's frontman of Smoke AD, and Hoya, the old bass player from Madball, is
Yep.
playing with them. So shout out both those dudes. They're solid as fuck. They're real. Hoya's living in Florida now, which is dope. Gonna try to connect with him soon. We got a good, amount of time to just catch up and really get to know each other when we were in New York. And then the other band is it's a newer band, but it's called Rules of Engagement from Nashville.
That's
Um,
sick.
my boy on vocals is normally the one that puts together our shows when we come through Nashville, and
Nice.
they're really good. They're really
Nice.
solid. They just released it's either a song or an EP, but I heard the song that they just dropped, so I don't know if it was a full EP or just that track, but
That's sick.
shout out both those bands.
Insane.
Perfect.
But yeah, going
back
back to topic. A field hockey coach that I had years ago, always told us to control the controllables, and it's something I consistently forget, but it's like spot on to everything that's being talked about. It's like you can control what's in your life, this and the other. You can't control any other people, and that's all you really got.
Yeah.
And that was like with teams, with like players. Like if there was a team that was just so obviously better than us, like it happens. Like there's just you can control like what's in your corner, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to go right back to this, but that just reminds me of a line in Total War that I wrote. So it's an interesting story about that song. Is I wrote it in the gym, and I had forgotten my headphones, and I was about to leave, but I got to thinking about it. I'm like, what am I just going to be a bitch and leave because I don't have my headphones? Like, fuck this. I'm going to put myself through a workout. End up writing an entire song lyrically, front to back, and then presenting it to the band and everything like that. But one of the main lines in that song is, I can't change what I can't change, but what I can control is my mind frame.
Right.
So like I was going through all kinds of shit when I was in the gym that night. It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm in clutch. I was still working full time for a company, and still in very much so like in the building process of what UC South Paul is today, which it's going to grow much further than what it is today. But that's kind of some things I was going through. Can't change what I can't change, but what I can control is my mind frame. So I'm just going to redirect my energy into the correct path.
Exactly. And I know for a lot of people it's hard when a lot of people don't feel like they have a lot of people in their corner, or a lot of people don't feel like they have enough solid friends or solid people around them. So it's hard to kind of to be in that mindset. But at the same time, like I feel like you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of close-knit people in order to still have control over what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice to have people in your corner. It's nice to have friends, but in order to do that, I feel like you also have to navigate all the bullshit and all the people that are bullshit. You know what I mean? And if that cuts you down to one or two people who are solid, but those one or two people have your back, and you can, push yourself in that direction and better yourself even with one or two people or no people. That's where it comes, you know what I mean? That's where it's like, okay, now I know I can do this on my own. I can do this on my own, but with a couple friends who have my back. I can do this with me, my band, and whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever your situation is in, I feel like it's just you have to put yourself in a better mindset and push yourself forward through all the bullshit before you can really understand the severity of the situation and go, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like it's not easy to deal with that stuff. But if you can figure that out and push yourself through all that, then honestly, I don't want to say you'll be unstoppable, but there will not be a whole lot that can stop you. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Yeah.
If you have yourself positioned in a certain way in the game, it doesn't matter if it's music or anything, but if you have all your checks and balance, it gets to a point where you can't be fucked with if you set yourself up correctly, and nothing even has to be said because it's all already done. The work is done.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're following basically a plan. And that's what I mean by sticking to the script. And honestly, just to kind of go back off what you were saying, it takes one person to make a difference. I mean, look at, I'm not comparing myself to any of these people by any means, but look at some of the greatest leaders and the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. Like, even look at Steve Jobs, look at, God, contrary to everybody's beliefs on this one too, like, Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with all that shit right now.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Nope.
But he's just an example of somebody that, hey, like, he chose this path. He went after it relentlessly, and those who were supposed to be there fell in line, and those who weren't fell off. and you
Right.
got to have that hunger about you, like that blood in your mouth, in order to get to that point. And it's
Yeah.
like having people around you is a plus, but oftentimes you're going to find yourself alone on that road because it's a
Hmm.
road less traveled.
Exactly. Yep.
That a lot of people are not built for, or just simply
Yeah.
scared because of the sacrifices, and could be a variety of reasons. But yeah, it takes one person to truly make a difference, and the rest will work itself out as far as who's supposed to be there and who's not.
Exactly. And how you point yourself will allow the people who need to be attracted in your life there, and will you know uh, get rid of the people who are not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
it'll naturally do that. So
Yep.
yeah, for
Absolutely. As
sure.
long as you just remain true to who you are and your plan and what your vision is,
Correct.
it'll happen. And like I said, right off the top from the very beginning, when we were talking about a variety of other things, like, there's going to be times where you make decisions and everybody's happy. And then there's going to be times where you make decisions or something randomly happens, and then you have to step up to the forefront as a leader and be like, yo, this is what it is. Like, whether you like it or not, this is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
without me even getting too deep into it. But again, that's just being prepared for those situations that
Yeah.
are going to present themselves at some point. It's not
Yeah.
all going to be the easy road.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Question number 5. How do you prepare yourself vocally for like a month-long tour, just like a decently long tour?
So when I'm home between tours, a big part of my life, outside of just hustling, getting money, and spending time with my daughter, is fitness. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be physically, but I'm in the shape that I'm in because of my habits, my daily habits. So between tours, I do my best to track my macronutrients, as boring as that sounds. Like, pay very close attention to, uh, and I know it might sound psychopathic or whatever to you guys if you're not into it, but I track my calories I'm taking in. I track my carbs, my fats, my proteins, everything, and that's all built around my training program for when I'm home. So, um, let's just face it. Like, if you get on stage, and this is not like taking a jab at anybody who's not physically in shape, but this is the truth. Like, if you get up on stage and you're talking about self betterment, and you're being that leader and that force to be reckoned with, like, you have to be that force to be reckoned with. Like, you can't just go up there and talk about self betterment and this, that, and the other, but you're not actually living it, and that's a whole nother job in itself. So, like, between touring, I'm doing everything I can to not only get myself mentally right by going to the gym and, expanding my knowledge and stuff, but tearing away at my body to make sure that I'm in the shape I need to be, as in somebody that would make me, sorry, I'm getting all these text messages.
You're good.
Being that person that you can actually believe in and that you actually would follow, the lead of. So, it's a lifestyle for me, like, the gym, nutrition, um and also it's big for conditioning, because by the time I get up on stage, if I've just taken a full month off between tours and then I'm about to go out for 30 days and I've not done a lick of cardio, I've not done a lick of, like, eating right, just ate like trash the whole time, that's going to show, like, not only physically, but I'm going to feel it. And I don't want to feel like shit when I'm up there. I want to have as much energy as possible and be in the best shape as possible to be that example, you know?
Yeah.
And people will notice that and see that. And they'll also, not that I do it for this reason, but they're going to buy into what you're doing and saying more because you are doing it yourself, not just talking about it,
Right.
which in turn is going to drive up your sales, because people are going to be like, yo, whether it's just one guy or all the guys in the band, they're going to be like, yo, I really believe in this guy or these guys. Like, I'm going to support them. I'm going to buy a shirt. Whereas if I had just gone up there and been the complete opposite, but, said that I was about this life, then they're going to be like, this guy's a fucking fraud.
Right.
He's not really,
Yeah.
like, doing this, that, and the other. So for me, between tours it's pivotal. Like, I wake up as early as possible. I do what I need to do, but I stick to a plan throughout the day. and keep myself in check. And I also try my best to do that with the guys around me too, like in the band. And this is not taking a jab at anybody in my group, but it's like if you are physically fit and you know the benefits from that and you know what can come with it, then naturally you want to be a good influence on the guys around you to also tap into that, So
Yeah.
it's about teamwork, not like pointing the finger and saying you're being a piece of shit. It's like,
Right.
hey, you're my brother, you're my homeboy. Like, let's tighten up. You can do better. You can be better type deal. And that's how I grew up. I grew up with a fucking Vietnam vet. My grandpa like drilling that kind of discipline and stuff into my head. So, we're all built differently.
Yeah.
But then as far as like on tour, once you're actually in that zone, you definitely, for me anyway, I don't do anything extreme on vocals. It's more of like an aggressive delivery, almost like a holler, if you will. But in a lot of songs, it's like a hip hop delivery with that. So it's not like I'm up there doing anything extreme like gutturals or death metal vocals or anything like that. I just do what comes very naturally. But to keep myself prepared for that, excuse me, like I said, I do outside of the fitness stuff and the push-ups and the burpees and all that before the show going up on stage. I do like a lot of humming techniques when I'm in the van with the rest of the guys. They'll be looking over at me like I'm a psycho because I've got like earmuffs on that cancel out all the noise around me. And I just tap into what's actually going on within, my vocal cords and do a deep range of things, humming, like tongue rolls, all that stuff that may sound crazy to other people. But if you just go straight up on stage and, force and project all that energy out of you, your body's going to like be like, oh shit, what are you doing? But if you get yourself prepared for that and warmed up for that, it'll be smooth as butter. And, aside from the techniques, I carry around like honey Halls drops, and I just keep them like in the back of my throat, to keep everything soothed. If I have the ability to, which most of the time I do, I'll carry like tea bags with me, like herbal tea, specifically throat coat, and I'll carry one cup with me in the van. And when we stop at a rest stop or something like that, if we're on the way to the venue or even at the venue, I'll just get, water, heat it up, dump the tea in there, drink it, coat the throat, use the lozenge and do my, vocal techniques. You're never going to catch me outside of a venue or something, doing some crazy like screams or gutturals around everybody. That's not for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have a way of getting myself prepared and it works for me. Some people do stuff like that.
Yeah.
If that works for them, cool, but that's just not really my skilo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's cool to see kind of what you do to prepare. Like, I mean, for for me with like when I was a drummer, like I didn't really do a whole lot necessarily to prepare. I did my stretches and stuff like that. And same thing like with guitar, I do some stretches and stuff like that for my hands and stuff. My hands are starting to kind of become shit, so like I kind of have to do that. But it's crazy to hear all of that, but it makes sense with what you're trying to do and what you're trying to succeed and kind of push for. And it's like if you're at that point where it's your career, it's your life, you want that to fully be who you are, to
Yeah,
push that envelope and just go like, I am doing this. I am doing
gotta
this.
live it.
Yeah.
Gotta
So
live it, bro. And I'm glad that you can see that and understand that because I've had times where I'll be outside of a venue and I'll, bust down and be doing, my push-ups or whatever, and people will be like, "Why are you doing all these push-ups?" And I'm like, "Well, why not? Like, is it
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
hurt you? Like, do
Right.
you push up?" Then I'll try to encourage somebody to do push-ups with me too, like to get prepared. But another part of it too, I don't want to leave this out because I feel like this is important for people to understand, especially people that are like new into the journey of touring. Like,
Yeah.
protect your energy and protect your mental peace because um, this comes with the territory. But it's like every night you're playing, the people that are coming to your show, they're coming out to unwind and have a good time and drink. You're there to have a good time too, but it's business. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you don't necessarily want to be surrounded 24/7 every single night, at least not me anyway, by individuals that are highly intoxicated. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's fine. It comes with the territory. But for me personally, you can ask any of the guys in my band, like, I'll dip off into an alley or something. I'll dip off into like a quiet space and get my mental right and do my workout and get my warm ups in, because I not only owe it to myself, but I owe it to the audience, the fans. I owe it to my
Absolutely.
team to be the best version of myself. If that means I have to separate myself from everything for an hour, whether it's
Right.
going for a walk, a jog, whatever the case may be, like, I got a job to do. It's got to get done.
Yeah. That's I mean, I can see how some people would consider that like intense or whatever, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think some people would definitely like look at it and be like, "Holy shit, he seriously does all that just to be able to scream on stage." It's like, well, yeah.
Well,
Like, you know what I mean?
It's
but
not
that
even much then. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's those very little simple tasks that compound interest over time, and
yeah.
that's what makes the difference between, not even considering myself this when I say this, but that is literally what differentiates the greats from the weekenders.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying?
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
and that's in any line of business. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, some people may take it as extreme, but that's exactly why it's doing what it's doing.
right. Exactly. I
Mhm.
was just about to say
Or
that. Yeah, exactly.
one reason, not every reason,
Yeah,
but one reason.
yeah, yeah. That's
Absolutely.
that's cool.
Mm.
That's super cool.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And that takes us into the final question. What's next for Southpaw?
Oh man, tons of stuff this year. So this Friday, let's see, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 3 days from now, we got a show at the Spot in Orlando, which is like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that venue. Are you?
I'm not, no.
A little, but no.
Okay. So that place has got a buzz about it lately, and I just found out about it, like, I don't know, or like last year is when I found out about
Actually.
this venue. But that place has definitely got a buzz about it. They just had like an after party after FYA there, and they had like a show there prior to FYA as well. So it was like stacked that whole fucking week. I wasn't there, but a bunch of my homies went out and I saw videos. I'm like, damn, I wish I
My
got
friends just played there on last month. Yeah, that was insane. They played with Lilith's Demise and everything. Yeah.
there.
They
Okay,
said
yeah.
it was the best day of their tour. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I can't wait. Plus, I got my homie Cricket coming out. I don't know if you guys have seen his videography, but he recorded us in Augusta, Georgia. He did like a aggressive nature video for us, which is the most recent song we dropped. He did like a full live run through. He's gonna do that at the Spot, which is gonna be crazy. He's very, very good at what he does. So shout out homie Cricket. Um, so after that show, we got a small run with an old deathcore outfit I'm sure you guys have heard of, with Blood Comes Cleansing.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're doing a small run with them. It's just 3 days, but it's like an album release tour for them. And
Wicked
we're
cool.
doing, the 21st is Pensacola, at a venue I've never played at. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but normally when we play Pensacola, it's at the Handlebar, which is a dope ass venue. So this venue is a newer venue that we haven't played at yet. And then
Nice.
the 22nd is Birmingham, Alabama, at Workplay, which I mentioned before. I love that venue. I'm expecting all of our friends and family to come out to that. Um, and then a lot of bands we know are going to be on that bill too. And on the 23rd, that'll be the next Jacksonville hometown show we play, which I expect nothing less than madness. I mean, every time we play in town, it's like everybody's a family, so they just like come out and fuck shit up and then just leave. It's
Yeah.
always a great night playing at home. But the thing about that, not to get too off subject, is like you don't want to play too often in your hometown either. When you
Yeah.
start getting to a certain, I don't even want to say level, but when you get to a certain point, it's like when you're touring all over, you don't want to constantly be hammering in your town the same set list because people are going to get tired of your shit. It's going to get played out, and they're not going to want to come as often, because they know, oh, I could go see Southpaw next week. No, you want it to be like, okay, I'm playing once every 6 months, or I'm playing in the middle of the year and the end of the year, or the beginning and the end, whatever. Kind of spread it out, grow in between, and come back and allow your hometown to see, like, because of their support and because of where you came from, how much you've grown in between that time. And if you've done the work, like, they can see it, so it'll be that much more valuable and important to them when you do play there.
Yeah.
So that's the next time we're playing in Jacksonville, is the 23rd. And then after that, we've got the whole month of March clear, and unless an opportunity presents itself. But what we're going to do in that time is write and record more music, because we just got done recording 3 new tracks. One of them is called Torches, which is a very important song to me. It basically touches on, like, everything we've already talked about, but to get a little bit more in depth, it's like in every area of life, regardless of what it may be. I'm sure you guys can understand this. It's like somebody carries the torch in that line of work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be fucking construction work. Somebody's carrying the torch through that shit. Somebody's making bigger things happen, leading by example, putting other people on, doing it the correct way for the community or for their job class. So that's what that song is about. It's about understanding where this culture and style of music derive from, right? Paying homage and respect to the old as well as the new, and living up to that reputation and passing that torch on when the time is right, for the next generation that is doing things correctly and sees it correctly, to then step up to the plate and do that. And it's happened throughout generation by generation of hardcore metal music. Like, there's always those, just like you said, powerhouses, and they live through their prime and they set those examples and they set the tone. And then it's like, then the next band comes along, the next 10, 15, 20 years, and does it right and has young blood, and then they're the ones that are setting the example and the tone to then pass down. So that's really what that song is about. And it's also paying respect to not just, like, the community of music and all the people that come into play, but also the people that are in the streets as well, that are sewn into the scene, and just, tipping the hat at the correct ones, that have supported you and whatnot. And then, so that's one of the songs we just did. And then another one is called For the Love of the Game. And basically that song embodies and emulates everything necessary that you need to do in order to make it, for the love of the game, in so many words. And then the last one is Play the Fool. And that's more of like a song for the people that, are going through all of the different emotions and whatever their line of business is. Sometimes you come across individuals, I'm sure you guys have heard this term or expression, but it's like, sometimes you got to play the fool to fool the fool that thinks they're fooling you. And you're a musician, you understand this to a degree.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to play the fool to fool the fool who thinks they're fooling you. So, without going too deep into that, you'll understand it more whenever the song drops, and just make sure you tap into the lyrics. But it's all free game. You know what I'm saying? It's literally free game, and take it or leave it. But it's all revolving around the culture and the energy that we project. So those 3 songs are recorded, and they should be released later on this year. And then we're gonna obviously record more, like I said, in March. And a lot of those songs are going to be compiled to going into a full length, which I won't, like, disclose when that's going to drop or anything like that. But so tons of new music coming, more shows that I've discussed, music videos with some of those songs, not all of them, but some of them. And then leading into April and May is the full U.S. takeover tour. So that'll be the first time we've hit the West Coast. We've done the Midwest. if you're looking at the map, we've done the Midwest and we've done everything like this direction, like towards the East Coast and shit,
Yep.
up into that region. But we haven't ventured off into the West Coast yet. And that just took time, and building connections is all that was. So now that we've got those connections set in place and we know some solid bands in the areas, and now have done that groundwork and made the connections, now we've got, I think it's 4 dates in like California and Vegas and stuff like that. You'd have to go look at the flyer.
Yeah.
You're playing with Kind Eyes, which is insane because they haven't left that area, and that's like as soon as their song like came onto my Spotify, like they've blown up since. So it's insane that you're playing with them.
They're cool guys. I haven't gotten to meet them personally, but I fuck with their music, and I've talked to their vocalist on like Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm just so pumped that we were able to make that happen. It's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a good like mix up. Plus, if you go back and like slide through the flyers, you'll notice that Kind Eyes is actually headlining that leg of the tour, because they're big in that region, and they've earned that respect, and rightfully so. So I'm happy that it's like that.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's insane. Like I do want to fly out to one of those days, but their music is insane. They're great people. Like it's awesome.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, in short, what's next for Southpaw is a lot of new music, new videos. We just dropped a lot of merch, plenty of tours going on, and then we've got some other like bigger news that we haven't even discussed that'll eventually surface. So just all I can really say is like stay tapped in. Keep watching, because it's like every day, if you're following our social media, the story is being told, like what's going on and what we're going through and the motions. It's just a matter of watching, and being aware of what's going on. That's literally it.
Yeah.
So we're not slowing down by any means. We're here.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, it's crazy to see just the amount of things you guys have going on. Obviously, like, I mean, you guys are pushing forward really, really hard, and it's cool to see a lot of this kind of come to fruition, and just, I don't know, it's nice to see that the hard work that you guys are obviously putting in is definitely, paying off for you. You know what I mean? And I feel like, with most bands, like I said, with Gum Scab for us right now, I mean, they're not as big as you guys are at this point, but they're in that same realm of just like they're pushing, they're doing what they want to do. And, people are showing up for their shows like crazy. Wherever they go, they're getting a bunch of love. Like, I just feel like, it's just great to see bands put in that effort and just see, what happens for them. You know what I mean? It's great.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I'm going to check them out. When we get done with this, I'm going to check them out.
Yeah.
On my interest today.
Honestly, the music matches up in like the nicest guys. It's we did an episode with, his name is Ethan. He's the guitarist of all of those bands, but that's all he explained it as. He's like, I get to play music with 6 of my best friends. He's like, we promise you that, like, it's not that we're being cocky or trying to, but we promise that we're having a better time than you, because we know that this is what we get to do with our lives.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's super cool.
It's got to be fun at the end of the day. Sometimes you're going to go through hard situations, but you got to love doing it. And it's, you got to be able to laugh even when shit's going south.
Yeah. And they're those kind of people. Like some of them have been through some shit. Some of them have overcome some shit. And I think they're all happy to live close to one another. I know a majority of them work together. I mean, they're just happy to do exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? And like they just live to play shows. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just they're putting in work, constantly recording, constantly starting new side projects with each other. Like they fully live on a lesser scale than what you are, but like they live it in their, in New England. They live it in New England, and it's just
I love that.
It's so cool to see that. It's really great that bands are still, yes, there is a business side to it, there is a whole bunch to it, but the biggest thing is is if you have the love for it and everybody else who you're with has the love for it. And then it's like, if you can make it a business because you guys all have the love and the passion
Yes.
and you put that stuff in it,
Yes.
then that's where that all comes in. You know what I mean? But it first starts with that, like that community,
For the
that,
love of the game.
yeah, exactly. It's and I feel like it's cool to see people who have that. And like I said, it's moving forward, and you're reaping the benefits, really. Whether it's, even if it's a little bit of money or whatever, eventually, something will come up, and it makes it worthwhile for you. You know what I mean? So it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, I love that, man. Whenever I see another band that's really putting in work, I notice it because I'm like, and that's the bands that I really tip my hat to, because it's like a lot of bands want to talk about it, but they're not actually being about it.
Yeah.
And it's whatever, if that's your thing, if that's your style. But for me, I know what my crew is doing. So it's like when I notice other people making similar moves or the same moves, like I spot it and I'm like, tip the hat. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Because
Yep.
I know that they're going through the struggles that we've gone through. I mean, we've had to give up and sacrifice so many things just to make this happen, man. But
Yeah.
nothing great happens overnight, nor does it come with comfortability.
Yeah.
You have to force yourself through uncomfortable situations in order to get what you
Yeah.
want a lot of times.
Yeah.
Every time, honestly. So
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. That's all the questions we have. Really appreciate you taking the time. I'm really glad we got to do this. I know, like, we're doing it during the day, which is not typical, but I'm really glad everything kind of lined up. It's perfect. So had a great episode. Really appreciate you talking and spilling a lot of different stuff onto us that is new to some of it. You know what I mean? It's nice to hear, and
All great
just
information.
all great information. Exactly. Just a bunch of really cool stuff to kind of wrap your head around. Is being a smaller band, it's cool to kind of just hear a little bit of wisdom from people who are really kind of pushing the envelope, for themselves. So really
hey,
appreciate you taking the time. And it was a blast.
look, I always am willing to give my time to anybody that is willing to listen, or even if somebody, approaches me looking for advice, if they're serious about what they're doing, I'm always willing to give my time. But I'm never willing to give my time to, somebody who thinks that they know it all, or are trying to cause divide or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You can read between the lines. It's like, just I'm very aware of those things. And I just want to be clear about something too. First off, I appreciate the respect and everything, as far as like you putting our, group on a certain level. But I do want to say this. I had this moment of realization not too long ago. It was when we were in New York. Um, Alec, my guitar player, and I were in the room backstage, and basically, like, this whole event was based around very successful musicians handing awards to bands that are up and coming. So right out the gate, just based off connections that we made and treating people right and doing good business, performing well, all those things, it put us into this situation, right? In our mind, even though we tour all over the place, in our mind, we're still this band that's like down here. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
to society or anybody that goes to shows and stuff, they hold us to this high standard because they see the work that we're doing every day. And that's just kind of like an indicator of, sometimes you put your head down and you work for so long that by the time you look up and you look around, you're like, oh shit, I'm in a whole different
Right.
stage of what I first began as. And
Right.
it's like people are paying that homage and respect to you. But one moment of realization I had was when we were in backstage in New York, and all these musicians of such a high caliber were in the room. And me and Alan just look at each other and we're like, yo. But that, like, everybody's just talking and eating and stuff because, like, there was food set up. But we look at each other and we're like, yo, we're in the room right now with Gary Holt of Exodus and Slayer, Sal from Typo Negative and Life of Agony, fucking obviously Danny and Hoya were there. Stickman, yo, shout out Stickman from Fury of 5, New Jersey Hardcore. That's my fucking dog right there. He was in the room. That's one of the realest motherfuckers, straight up. If you have you guys met him?
I
Stickman?
haven't.
No. Good fucking people, bro. Solid people. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. I talked to him that night about doing a feature on a song on the full length with us, which
Nice.
I couldn't be more happy to have somebody like him. Somebody that's been keeping that shit real since the 90s.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But aside from all that, just I fuck with him as a person. I fuck with Fury of 5, cool dudes. But long story short, we're in this room, and all these very successful musicians are around us. And it was a moment of realization. It's like, damn, we're not in this room for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
even though we just got planted in this room and we're with all these people, like, we did something in order to put ourselves in this position. And we were the smallest group there, by far. Like, one of the guitar players for fucking Megadeth was there.
Yeah.
So many huge bands that have been around, since I was a jit. The Shadows Fall vocalist was there. Like, they're on fucking Guitar Hero. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And shout out to all those guys. Like, hey, they've paid the fucking price. So you have little moments of realization, not to go way off, again in left field. I know I can do that from time to time, but you have little moments of realization like that, man, where you're like, damn, the work that I've done really is paying off. And then you start to realize why people are putting you on a certain tier. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you're better or worse as a person than anybody else. It just means that your work and your daily habits have led you up to being in a certain position, and now you got to carry that position in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
It's like I only just noticed this. Your manager. I have both Ed and I love Siler, and I have followed him for so long. I've seen him play with Knocked Loose, like so many guys. But he is a person that like just goes and knows what he's doing and what he wants. So like that's the perfect person to represent you, and you can see that in the work that you're already doing.
I love Cody. Cody Ash.
Cody Ash.
If you didn't know his last name, but yeah, look, I'll tell you a quick story because I don't want to hold you guys too long. But Cody is somebody we consider family, man. He's just such a great, down to earth guy, and he's done the work as well to put himself in a position to where now, like, he's playing with one of the biggest artists in the world. So I can't do anything but be happy and thankful for him and what he's done for us as well. As far as as far as my recollection, if I remember all this correctly, because I think our drummer Harrison already had somewhat of a relationship with him. But the first time I, became aware of Cody was shortly after we dropped that song Total War. Jelly Roll actually commented on the video and was like, "Yo, this shit bangs." And I'm like,
what?
Wake up, wipe my crusty eyes. I'm looking at my phone. Jelly Roll? What the fuck?
Yeah.
So, do I even really need to say anything else? So it's like, then Cody hops on, and then the next thing you know, we play a show in, pretty sure it was Nashville or somewhere nearby. But Cody came through and, watched us play and literally came up to the merch table and, like, bought one of every fucking thing we had. And,
Oh my God.
he took us out for drinks afterwards. I'm going to be real with you. We got trashed. Then he took us to Whataburger, bought all of us food, and, brought me a little something to smoke on. And I'm like, yo, this dude, I fuck with this guy. And it's not just because what he was, doing for us and stuff, but you could tell the love and the support was just naturally there. And plus, we all just vibed well. Like, we were on the same type of timing and speaking the same language. So we maintained that relationship as friends for, like, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months after that. And then the next thing you know, like, we start getting into talking business. And now Cody's our manager, and he's done some great things for us. And we've even, like, the love he shows us, like, when Jelly Roll came through Jacksonville here in our hometown, they played the ViStar Memorial Arena, and it's like 14,000 people cap, and it was sold out. And there's like a big screen behind the stage, and Cody was wearing a Southpaw shirt. So and I got videos for it. I could send it to you.
That's amazing.
It was another one of those moments where I'm like, yo,
Full
like,
circle.
I don't want to be this guy, but I'm being this guy right
I
now.
am, like, you have every right to be. Like,
It's like you're at an arena in your city, and then one of the largest artists in the world is up there, and their drummer's wearing their shirt going like this to the camera for everyone in the audience to see it. And I'm telling you, like, right after that, so many motherfuckers from like that I went to high school with and everything, they're like
let's
calling,
go.
texting, yo, what the, Jelly Roll's drummer on stage, this, that, and the other. But he does that all over the place. Like, they played SummerSlam, WWE SummerSlam, which was on national television on Peacock. And he's in the middle of the wrestling rink wearing a Southpaw shirt, like standing up, doing this. You see the bats on the back, FLHC, and it's like,
Yes, I have seen that. Holy shit.
That's awesome.
yeah. So when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, we're on the way. Like, we in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're there.
That exposed us to all kinds of other artists. Like, I'm pretty sure it was at SummerSlam or an event shortly after, you catch Cody, like, kicking it with Cody. I think it's Cody Garbrandt, the UFC fighter. He was wearing one of our shirts, and like a picture with him, and with J. Cole was there and shit like that. So it's like, damn, all these artists have actually like seen the name. It's pretty cool, even if they don't know us. The fact that it was in front of
The
them.
exposure is there. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in their mind. So, like, when you do get to that, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we do recall this.
It's holding space in your mind rent free. I mean, it's he's
that's awesome.
In as far as advertising too, he's done a lot for us in that regard. And I just shout out Cody, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Amazing.
That's great.
if you guys got any other random questions for me to answer real quick, I don't mind. If not, I'm good. If y'all are, whatever y'all want to do.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I got to get ready to head back to work soon. So
that's sad. But no, I'm glad I got to add in about Cody, because
that's
like,
super cool.
I loved Siler. I'm very sad about Siler being done, but when I saw like that he was with Jelly Roll, it was just like, he's doing it. Like, someone that deserves it is doing it. Like,
yeah. He's a hard worker, man, and just a good soul in general. So he fucking deserves everything that's coming to him. And he's not fucking with us for no reason. Like, he believes in us. He genuinely cares about us. I have conversations with Cody all the time on the phone, just even if it's talking shit,
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's good to have a strong team.
Yeah. I'll say you have to, if you're doing what you guys want to do. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have people who not just are there to, like, oh, I'm your manager, like, let's make money, like, let's do this. You have to have someone who, like, cares.
Knows
You know what
the
I mean?
process, cares, wants to see you do well, isn't just about like, no, you need to be like with these people. Like, no, Cody knows the industry. Like, it's someone that's gonna put you with the right people.
Right. Facts. No, total facts. And one more thing before you guys go. One thing that I wanted to bring up is bands that have actually put in the work and put themselves in a certain position in this era or this age and time. One of the greatest examples, whether people like them or not, or whether they say it's real hardcore or not, or whatever, it doesn't matter. But Knocked Loose,
absolutely.
like, look at what they've done. I remember when, not to say this disrespectfully, but I remember when they weren't shit. You know what I'm saying? When they were just like a local band putting in the work. Look at what the fuck they've done. We just did a tour, 3 tours back with their drummer's little brother's band. And those dudes
Hawk has a brother?
Yeah. JP from Surfaced. Yep, that's the name of the band, Surface. Young dudes.
These families are just insane. Like, because then there's freaking all of the. Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, shit. We played together in Orlando, and Surface was on stage playing, and I look over and I'm like, oh yeah, there's his fucking brother. Like, his brother just popped out for the show, and I'm like, that's really cool. We're in Florida, and they're from Louisville, so it's like, I don't know how that ended up happening, but he was there in the room. So hey, shout out to them guys. And one other band I have to pay my respects to is Kublai Khan. Like, they were just like Knocked Loose. Like, they came up through the ranks and just put in that footwork, and now they're one of the biggest, like, groups of this time. You know what I'm saying? Doing songs with like Scott Vogel and shit like that, keeping the old heads involved in the new wave of music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's cool to be a part of like the metal, I'll just say metal genre in general, just because, there's so many bands that are bringing, I don't want to say a niche type of music, but it's not a lot of people listen to it. I mean, there's a lot, but not like, it's not super, super mainstream, but it's
Becoming
cool to
more known
see.
now than ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see a lot of bands. I mean, Spirit Box is huge right now. Like they're crazy. It's a little bit off. I mean, still within that realm. Knocked Loose, like you said. I mean, like there's just a lot of bands that are doing a lot of really big things right now. Gojira playing the Olympics, like that's insane. You know what I mean? So it's like
That was wild.
yeah. It's so that's cool just to see that like it's definitely pushing in that direction. And I don't know. I love it. I know that I know there are some people who probably absolutely hate it. And that's fine.
That's
But
fine. Fuck them.
yeah, like whatever. I don't care. Like I understand like the gatekeeping type shit, which is like, oh, keep this small and whatever. It's like, dude,
No.
you can't do that. Like it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
I don't
such
know.
a small mindset to have.
Yeah.
And while there are certain aspects of it I understand, because like, being in that position where you're, so to speak, carrying the torch, you want to set the tone and lead by example and make sure that no, for lack of better term, fuck shit comes into the industry or the scene. I can understand things like that. But pushing down smaller bands for no reason, just for your own, what's the word I'm looking for your own agenda to work, and you just putting your little tiny circle of people on, to try to make them thrive, when half the time that small circle of people you're putting on isn't even really doing like the work.
Yeah.
Like, you got to give these other bands a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then you got bands that are aware of the gatekeeping shit, and they're like, nah, fuck that. You're not about to,
No.
you're not going to put me in a box and tell me when I can and can't do this. But that's another thing that, is the difference between people that really want it and people that don't. And you can't just bend the knee and just allow people to do whatever they want with or to you, because then you're never going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
You don't have the respect.
I feel like the threshold just needs to be open. And that's why it's like it's cool to be able to like see bands like that do such big things in front of huge crowds that you typically wouldn't see. And I think that's I don't see a negative in that personally. Like I said, I know some people do, but I really feel like you just have to just accept it for what it is and just be happy that bands are getting recognition and that like, they're pushing the envelope of the genre, and it's getting, things are getting bigger. Even if there's subgenres, it doesn't matter,
I mean, the fact that Knocked Loose was on Jimmy Kimmel recently, which it's like things happening like that open the door and broaden the horizon for bands on the up and coming, like us and many others, not just us. But it's like they are now making that possible for bands like us and other bands alike to be able to do shit like that, And there's always going to be negative backlash, and there's always going to be positive backlash, but just stick to the script. Be you, do what you love, and what's meant to happen is going to happen.
Yep. 110%.
Exactly.
So
110%. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. It's been an absolute blast. I've had a great
look at her
time.
smiling. She's all giddy over there.
Yeah.
I love these. I love doing this. Like just getting to talk to people about like-minded things. Like it's the whole reason we do this.
Same. Same. I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate you guys having me on, and
I'm
sure I'll be seeing you, man,
Absolutely.
in New Jersey.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'll make another drive down to New Jersey, but I'm up in New Hampshire.
Oh shit.
So that was the thing. Maddie and I went to your show, and we already did Fashion Week, and then I, being insane, drove from that show straight back to New Hampshire for us.
Oh, damn.
So that's like what makes it even more special, is like not being from that area, and that was such a good show.
For sure. For sure. Thank you. Well, just so you know, I'll throw you on the guest list for the New Jersey show. So just come out, hang out.
I'll still come to New Jersey. I'll keep that in mind. I'll fly out for a Kind Eye show. We'll make that happen.
Let's do it, and bring Madison too, so we can talk shit to her.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well,
But
yeah,
Daryn, thank you so much. This has been insane. Episode 19.
Thank
Happy
y'all.
February, everyone. And we hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
yeah.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Yep. Same, man.
Absolutely.